Hello and welcome to the United Nations. We're in the East Lounge of the United Nations, and my guest today is Falah Mustafa Bakir, who is the Foreign Minister of the Kurdistan Regional Government of Iraq. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Obviously, those are crucial days for your region. A referendum on independence has been set for September 25th. Kurdish officials have said repeatedly this is irreversible. The referendum will take place. However, we know there are negotiations to try to postpone it. Can you tell us today that on September the 25th, there will be a referendum in your region, whatever happens?
After our tragic history in Iraq, time has come for us to decide to go for a referendum. We want to do that peacefully. We want to engage with Baghdad in negotiations so that we end this relationship that did not work in order to have two sovereign states next to each other living in peace. This is a decision of the people of Kurdistan, a people who have suffered chemical gassing, a people who have suffered unfall and destruction of villages. There have been attempts from our friends and partners in the international community asking us to delay.
Pressures, actually.
Well, we have been asked. We don't consider that pressure because we have been an important member of the international coalition against ISIS. It has been our Peshmerga forces. For the first time, they destroyed the myth of ISIS, and they have stopped the advances of ISIL, and then they regained territory that was lost to ISIS. Therefore, we have played a crucial role in the fight against ISIS, and we have fought on behalf of the free world. And that war has been costly. We have lost until now 1,800 Peshmergas, and over 10,000 have been wounded, and 62 missing. But we have realized that we have no future whatsoever in Iraq. Time has come for us to accept negotiation. We want to do it peacefully through negotiation and understanding with Baghdad. We don't believe that we are committing a crime. The international community has to be open for this. We have been a region which we stood for peace, for tolerance, for coexistence. We fought ISIS, we welcomed IDPs and refugees, and we protected minorities.
But nevertheless, all the countries in the region, all your allies, the US and Europe, are begging you to postpone. Can you tell us today that no offer can postpone that referendum?
My message to our partners in the international community is to prepare for the day after, to prepare the ground for a negotiation, a serious and meaningful negotiation with Baghdad. It's us who suffered. It's not none of the countries that you are mentioning who have been telling us. But until this moment, we have not received the offer or the alternative path that secures the right future for the people of Kurdistan. That's why we have said that we are determined to go ahead with the 25th of September, because that is the day when we want our people to make their say.
But there have been reports of a US offer a few days ago that was rejected. Now we're hearing here in the United Nations that a new package maybe is being offered by the United Nations, Turkey, and France. Is this still happening? Are you still negotiating with some of your partners to try to find a solution, maybe not to postpone it, but for the day after, as you're saying?
The campaign trail is ongoing. The campaign is going ahead in Kurdistan for the day of the 25th of September. But if there would be that offer, that alternative path that have been talked about, that would secure a better future for the people of Kurdistan, then the Kurdistan leadership would be ready to consider it. But until this moment, we have not received that. Whatever has been offered has been to negotiate with Baghdad on the same old formula, and we are not ready to go back to that old formula, which did not work. Therefore, we have to be clear. When we talk about an alternative, that alternative should be a clear recognition of the right to independence or the right to self-determination, because we have been very clear. Even the day after the referendum, we will go to Baghdad to negotiate on independence. We want it to be peaceful. We want it to be through an understanding with Baghdad. Therefore, if they mean by delaying that referendum in order to go back to the old formula, that would not be possible.
But if they tell you, okay, we are going to have a new formula, maybe more international guarantees, when you say we would consider it.
But international guarantees, what do you mean by that?
I don't know. You are negotiating. I'm not.
No, for us, we want to be given the right to self-determination. We are fighting for independence, not for going back to the federal system.
You want a deadline, basically.
A deadline, for example, to be given 1 year, maximum 2 years in order to have negotiations, but to end in independence, not to go back to the same old formula.
The central government in Baghdad is not happy about it. Prime Minister Abadi has said it repeatedly. The Supreme Court has said the referendum should be suspended. Are you fearing that there could be a retaliation by Baghdad, like closing the airspace, or even more, seeing military troops go to the regions, especially where areas that are so-called disputed areas?
First, it should be called the federal government because Iraq is supposed to be federal state and not central. But in fact, all the actions of Baghdad has proven to be a government which needs and wants to have a strong center. Second, we don't believe that we are committing a crime for Baghdad to act in this way. When they talk about the constitution, where were they when unlawfully and unconstitutionally the former Prime Minister Maliki cut the budget of entire Kurdistan region? That was the day when the federal government in Baghdad cut the last cord between Erbil and Baghdad. In fact, with such kind of behavior, Baghdad is pushing us out of Iraq and not embracing us in Iraq. And we don't believe now is the time for military action or retaliation. We are asking for our rights. We are not asking for something. We are not transgressing other people's rights. What we are asking for as a nation, because Iraq is two different nations, two different geographies, two different cultures and history. Time has come because we decided to be part of Iraq voluntarily. We wanted a voluntary union. In 2003, we went to Baghdad after we were almost independent for over a decade, from 1991 until 2003. We believe that that was an opportunity for all Iraqis to build a better Iraq, a federal, democratic, and pluralistic. But unfortunately, it did not work because those in Baghdad, it's too late. We can't go back to that.
Okay. I want to ask you about Turkey. Turkey has been against this. Kurdistan is sending oil to Turkey through a pipeline. Are you fearing that Turkey, which has opposed clearly this referendum, could decide in retaliation to cut this pipeline and therefore make Kurdistan in a much more difficult economy than it is already?
Turkey is an important country, an important neighbor, and we're pleased that we had strong relations with Turkey, politically, economically, culturally, and commercially.
But they're not happy now.
Well, this is something that happens only within Iraqi territory. So therefore, this has nothing to do outside Iraq. This is something internal to Iraq, and we want to address that between Erbil and Baghdad. This is one. Second, for over 2 decades, we have proven to Turkey and other neighbors that we are a factor for stability. We wanted to have good neighborly relations based on respect, understanding, and mutual benefit. We did not harm Turkish interest, and we will not harm Turkish interest. We are a safe neighbor. We want to have good relations with Turkey, and in fact, we seek and we are trying for a strategic partnership with Turkey. Therefore, this is how we see it. A strong, independent Kurdistan neighboring Turkey would be in Turkey's benefit as well. As a result of that, commercial and economic cooperation, even Turkey benefits. It's not one-sided. It's a two-sided relationship.
So you don't believe they will do this?
No, we hope that they will not take any action against Kurdistan region because we have been a friend, an ally, and a partner with Turkey.
Are you fearing maybe some clashes with the Shia militias? This has been a concern, that they are there, not far. Is this something, because that's something I've heard when I was in Erbil recently?
Well, there is a lot of speculation, but as far as we are concerned, we want to have a peaceful approach. We want to have a peaceful process, and we do not want to provoke anyone. What we are asking for is our rights, and we want to do that peacefully. Therefore, we hope that it will not reach that stage when people act against this process, because there may be some misunderstanding from other people about this process. This is only the beginning of the process. This is only when the people of Kurdistan would go to the polling stations and they would exercise their right to self-determination by determining what do they want. The next day, the leadership in Kurdistan would be mandated by the people of Kurdistan. With that legitimacy, they go to Baghdad in order to negotiate
But for how long?
Well, this is what we would be flexible with Baghdad in order to address all the issues that need to be, because our intention is to have good relations with Baghdad the day after. We consider Baghdad to be our strategic depth, and considering the long history that we had together, the long border that we will have together, we need to cooperate politically, economically,
for 5
and even
years. You could negotiate 5
No,
years.
I don't think it will not be open-ended, but there would be flexibility in order to have enough time to address the issues that are important to be addressed.
Last question. The only country that has said it would recognize a referendum is Israel. Obviously, this has provoked some criticism in the region. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I hope there would be tens of other countries who would support Kurdistan region. We are a friendly nation. We are a peaceful nation. We are very friendly and reaching out to build bridges. We have tried to build a lot of bridges in the last 3 decades, and we hope that there would be many other countries who support Kurdistan and its independence process.
But for you, it's not a problem, because obviously it's controversial in the region.
For us, we have no taboo and we have no restrictions. We want to establish good relations with all nations around the world.
Falah Mustafa Bakir, thank you very much for coming on the France 24 set here at the United Nations, and thank you for watching this interview on our channel. Stay tuned for more news.
Merci beaucoup, monsieur.